So, we talked about phrase changes today. So, we talked about the strategy that I like to use for them, which, again, I mentioned, this isn't what I do every single time, but it's the strategy I use most often. There's two parts, which is at the end of the previous phrase, I like to do something that's got a little bit more speed, a little bit more dynamic to it. That doesn't have to be, but that's often turns, is one strategy I use a lot. If you watch one of my dances, not every single phrase change is going to have a bunch of turns before it, but I can guarantee you at least one of them will, probably two. But it doesn't necessarily need to be turns, it just needs to be something that feels like fast and dynamic. So like, here's an example that would be like not turns, but like if I did this at the end of the previous phrase, right, that still had that like fast, like almost like kind of frantic feel to it a little bit, and then you shoot out of that in time for the new phrase, and on the new phrase we want something that's much more about like movement and expressing what we hear in the new phrase. It's not so much about like a move now as it is about like stylistic dancing movement. Sometimes that might mean through a basic. Sometimes that means I set something up that's a little bit more repetitive or that's a window of opportunity for the follower. So classic example we used was those swivels to the side. We did them first from a sugar bush. You would start this on 3 of the last 8 count. So we would go 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, prep 8, swivel 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and exit. That could work for like a really chill phrase change. I might do those 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8, and now it's nice and calm. Although this would work if it was like kind of a chill beat. It wouldn't work if it's like the part of the song where there's no beats, right? Obviously this is a kind of rhythmical motion. So if it's that like part of the section where the beat drops, this won't work super well. I can also do this on the part of the music where it's really exciting. I'd probably get lower, twist a little bit more, 7, 8, 1, 2 there instead. Although if it's that part of the song, I probably want to also pair it with that first piece I talked about, which is to have a little bit more speed just before it. So instead of that, we did the sugar tuck, right? I started this one on 5, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, and we twist right into it without the anchor, right? A little bit more advanced would be to start that earlier, right, and add some extra turns. So like maybe I do the tuck, and I put a few more turns on it, and then we start it. Or maybe I start this all the way on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I do it from the whip with the extra turns, and again, that gives you more build-up. Exiting the swivels, remember we talked about giving her that last, hey, we're not going to do it again. So that last one feels a little bit different at the end before we exit it, so she knows. Kind of like the strategy I mentioned in the first class for the repetitive motions. Then we talked about the other strategy I use, which lots of times is instead of to like lead something, I'll set my follower up to express it. We did this, I'll do it from this side, from the outside turn as well, but turning together, changing the hands, letting her do her thing, and then eventually finding her way out. So we kind of do that incomplete sentence strategy there. You can do this really quick. 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Or you could do this sooner and make it a slower turn, right? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2. Obviously the quicker one gives a little bit more speed and build up to it, but it's more difficult, right? Again, you could do this earlier with extra turns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, and that puts more build up on it than it does with just the sugar tuck. So this is something to, gradually practice with more difficult and complex patterns leaders and find like different places where you can set this up. This was just sort of a relatively simple example, although one that I do use that really demonstrates the point. I feel like I got everything. Yeah, go once, go twice. Awesome. Quick song break, and then we'll be back for one more class.